investor friends, I'm Michelle Markey, and if you're like me and enjoy keeping tabs on what some of the best investors are investing in, you may have also noticed that the latest 13F filings for the likes of Berkshire Hathaway and Mohnish Pabrai, Guy Spier, and so on have recently come out this November 2024. And I gotta say, the biggest headline is actually what Berkshire Hathaway has either been investing in or more so selling out of in the stock market. And if you enjoy learning about what some of the best investors have been invested in, I hope you'll like and subscribe to my video and YouTube channel, because it would be a big help in helping me to know that this kind of content is important to you, because it's important to me. So I hope it helps you along your investing journey as well. So with that, I just want to mention that during the summer, specifically in the third quarter of 2024, from July through September of 2024, Berkshire Hathaway sold another 100 million shares of Apple, as well as another big chunk of Bank of America shares. So Berkshire Hathaway now has only 40 stocks, and among those, he sold down from $84 billion worth of Apple to now having about $70 billion worth of Apple. And with Bank of America, they also shaved that down by about 22% to now only having about $31.5 billion. So overall, the Berkshire Hathaway portfolio has about $267 billion of equities for now. So right now, as far as I know, Berkshire Hathaway has over $325 billion of cash. So they're holding onto this cash in the form of treasury bonds and other cash equivalents that they could easily deploy into either buying whole companies or more stocks. So for now, it looks like either Warren Buffett or some of his investing contacts don't have much to invest in right now at Berkshire Hathaway, aside from some of the latest of what they did invest in, which is the likes of HEICO Corporation, which is a maker of aerospace and electronic equipment, and they also invested in Dominos Pizza and POOLCORP. So based on some of the figures I ran, it looks like Berkshire Hathaway invested around maybe $550 million into Domino's, and somewhere less than $200 million each for both HEICO and also POOLCORP. So with some of those investments in the last quarter, they didn't really buy all that much in stocks. Like overall, between those three stocks that they invested in, that's only around less than $1 billion. So with that, I don't think there's much that Berkshire Hathaway is seeing. And in fact, they sold or reduced out of Capital One Financial, New Holdings, SiriusXM, Charter Communications. They sold a lot of Ulta Beauty that they went from having 260 million of that to now only $10 million of Ulta Beauty. So that's not an encouraging sign if you were trying to ride on the coattails of Berkshire Hathaway into Ulta, especially if maybe those people at Berkshire Hathaway know something that we don't. And also, Berkshire sold entirely out of Liberty, SiriusXM, Series C and A, as well as Floor & Decor Holdings. So for Berkshire Hathaway right now, they seem to be waiting for opportunities to deploy their capital. And one of my investing friends has suggested to me that if Apple is getting overvalued, maybe it is right for Berkshire Hathaway to sell out of that and instead invest in something else, such as other companies that they might find better deals in, like perhaps Domino's. So it could be that this is the right time in the investment cycle where Berkshire should be reallocating instead of keeping their money in the golden goose known as Apple. And we know that sales had been slowing down for the likes of Apple, and I'm not sure what the reason for Berkshire downsizing in Bank of America is, but overall it looks like Berkshire is waiting to buy something in the foreseeable future, but they just don't need to be as invested in Apple, even though it continues to remain their largest holding. And moving on to some other investments that I like to keep tabs on, the Daily Journal Corporation is one that Charlie Munger used to head up. And at the time I'm recording this, it's been almost a year since Charlie Munger sadly passed away. So It looks like sites like Dataroma no longer feature Daily Journal as to what they currently own, but overall, they haven't changed since Daily Journal liquidated some stocks around the beginning of 2024, from what I'm guessing, like compared to around the fourth quarter of 2023. In now the third quarter of 2024, there hasn't been all that much change in terms of how much the portfolio is worth. It's roughly similar at around $185 million, but we can see that they've reduced somewhat across most of their bank stocks between 11 to 15%, but they reduced significantly from Alibaba a few quarters ago by 35%, but otherwise they haven't changed any of their holdings throughout 2024. So for now, Daily Journal is the way it is. And with Mohnish Pabrai, he's been heavily invested in the likes of energy and materials companies, and also a shipping container company called Dominos from Greece. So that's interesting that seems to be what's piquing Mohnish's interest in terms of investments lately. And then Guy Spier is seeming to follow in Mohnish Pabrai's footsteps by also investing in the likes of Alpha Metallurgical and also Arch Resources, except that Mohnish in the last quarter seems to have reduced significantly out of Arch Resources. So I wonder if Guy Spier will follow suit soon thereafter. And then with Li Lu, it looks like he followed in the footsteps of Berkshire Hathaway by reducing significantly in Apple and only having now a $74 million holding, give or take, in Apple as of September 30th, 2024. And then with an interesting investor I keep tabs on every now and then is Michael Burry, who is renowned from The Big Short back in the great financial crisis. And over the last 5 quarters or so, I've noticed he's just been continuing to add to his Alibaba holdings. So he's the only super investor I keep tabs on that seems to be really into Alibaba and also investing more in JD.com and Baidu. And he's been invested in a few other companies that I'm not as familiar with, but it should be a little bit of a warning that if you choose to invest in whatever Michael Burry's invested in, just be mindful that he could turn that right around as he did in the second quarter and sell out of a lot of stock. So even if you think he's trending toward buying Chinese e-commerce companies, if you look in the second quarter, he reduced in his JD.com holding by 30%, only to add that back and more in the third quarter of this year. So I would be careful if you're trying to copy any of these super investors. Just because it's right for their portfolio doesn't mean it's always right for our portfolios in everyday investors' portfolios. So just be careful and make sure you do your own due diligence and research before you were to invest in any given company, because as tempting as it might be, we saw that recently, say Berkshire Hathaway invested in Dominos Pizza, which could they be doing that because they anticipate a recession coming up, and then during a recession, more people will want to have, say, more affordable pizza for takeout? Who knows if Domino's will be a recession-proof stock, or some other innovative reason that Domino's is coming out with, like maybe they've been paying down their debt. If you were to want to check out a video that one of my friends Alejandro and I did on Domino's Pizza, that could be interesting, but you never know what's really going on. Why did Berkshire Hathaway invest $500 million into Domino's Pizza? We don't know, and we're not sure if he say Warren Buffett is going to turn around next quarter and sell out of Domino's, much like what just happened with Ulta Beauty. So just be careful if you're trying to ride on the coattails of these famous investors. It can be profitable if you know the same investment hypothesis as they do, and you believe in the company and you think they're going to be a much better company in the coming years than they had been lately. But I know that Domino's, as far as when Alejandro and I reviewed them in a collaboration video you could check out, they had a lot of debt, and I'd be very careful about, can Domino's pay down their debt with 3 years worth of earnings? That would be something I'd keep a lookout on. And otherwise, just keep watching out for investment opportunities. Like I discussed with my investing podcast partner, Sina Loneholt, that you could check out in our podcast, Investing Mastermind. You want to be careful about how you allocate your money in the coming year. You'll still want to do your research and just be sure. So it's always a good time to keep learning about what some of the best investors are invested in, and also what companies you're interested in, because just because some of these famous investors are invested in these stocks doesn't mean we have to necessarily invest in those same ones. Although I still wonder who will be more right. Will the CEO of Apple, Tim Cook, be more right about buying back shares? Or will the Warren Buffett of China, aka Li Lu, and Warren Buffett himself be more right that it's the right time to liquidate out of Apple for now and maybe reinvest in Apple when it's at a more attractive valuation? Who knows? But even though we don't know what's going to happen in the future, just keep doing your best to be the best investor you can be. And if you enjoyed today's video or learned something, please like and subscribe, and let me know in the comments what you think about what some of these super investors are investing in lately. I'd love to hear from you, and I wish you well in your investing journey this holiday season, and I look forward to a lot of hopefully good investing opportunities in 2025. Till next time.